So this is a Yanmar 2GM20 engine in which I have a leak in the injection pump.
Over there. You can see it's quite wet and it's leaking beneath this delivery valve holder, and I should change an O-ring there. This is the freshwater version of the engine, which means that there's lots of these hoses and this place is quite crowded. So first I need to take at least these two hoses out of the way so I can reach the nuts. This one I need to change anyway, so that will go too. So let's see how this goes.
So this is how it looks in theory. We are going to change the O-ring, which is below the spring holder. So it's on the high pressure side of the pump, which means that when it starts leaking, it definitely won't be fixed by itself. Also, you shouldn't try to fix it by tightening the spring holder, because that way you can mess up the pump settings. The whole job can be done while the pump is in place, so the only parts that will come out are the spring holder, the O-ring and the spring. Everything else will stay in place, so we can follow this nice rule from the service manual.
So I run the engine a bit and it seems to be leaking much more than last summer, so probably after the winter storage the O-ring has dried more and now it's leaking actually quite a lot. But yeah, so now I'm starting this thing by draining the coolant, which happens from here, from these two taps. So the bottom tap is the one that drains the coolant. This one over there. Okay, now I have some more room here, and next I must clean this a bit because we don't want to get any stuff inside when I open these valves. So I have brake cleaner for that. It's still a bit difficult to reach this. Okay, so now I have the fuel lines opened. I also need to open them from the cylinder side so I can get this out of the way, but I think this is enough for me to open the rest. Okay, so here's the first one. You can see the O-ring moved when I opened it. This was actually the one that wasn't leaking, but I'm gonna change it anyway. And there the spring also comes out, and the rest will stay there. So this was the leaking one, and at least the O-ring looks quite hard and square. This is the new one. It's a Yanmar genuine brand part. Here you can see the code if you need one. So now I just put it back there in the groove.
So the spring must go first, otherwise it will drop. I also rubbed some diesel oil to the o-ring before putting it back. So the tightening torque of the delivery valve holder is pretty critical here. So torque wrench should definitely be used because over tightening it can cause all kinds of funny business. I aimed to the middle of the specification here, which is about 41.5 Newton meters.
Okay, so both are now back and in correct torque, which was 41.5 Newton meter. First I tightened both to 30 and then to the final torque. Next I will connect the fuel lines back, but while doing that I need to hold this delivery valve holder with a spanner so that the torque won't change when I tighten these back in. Okay, so that was pretty difficult because there's not much room, but I guess I managed. So next I'm gonna change both the fuel filters. The first one is here and the main one is here. And after that I'll put everything back together and see if it still runs. Okay, so far so good. Everything's back together. I have a new hose here that goes to the heater. I have changed the filters and bled the engine. Then it started, but funny thing was that it started running in the opposite direction, so exhaust was coming out from the air intake. So I shut it down, restarted, everything was fine. Now I have to go to get some more coolant and see
how this runs a bit longer.
I made this kind of a test setup so I can run it a bit longer without the engine overheating. Now I have the coolant back in, so let's try. Okay, so I ran it for half an hour at different speeds. Everything was working as it should. The injection pump is still dry, as you can see. So I think this was a success. Just for the record, this engine is 40 years old. It has almost 4,000 hours in, and I'm pretty sure that this was the first time that these O-rings are changed. So hopefully they now will last till the end of this engine's lifespan.